Dandelion, you're a joy to my eyes. Dandelion, you're a joy to my eyes. Oh, your yellow and gold flies through the breeze. Far and wide you spread your seed.
From the mundane to the magic, and the humble to the harmonious, I'm now ready to share with the world the medicine that has inspired me to release old fears and patterns and realise my full potential, finding the full spectrum of peace and excitement and everything in between, and that it's available to me right now and in each and every moment as I walk my own unique path of wonderment in the world. This podcast will inspire, hopefully, not only my journey and my story, but also yours. Welcome to Dandelion Stories. I'm Emily Doe, sharing stories through this podcast and learning and growing as I go. Hello and welcome back to this fourth episode of Dandelion Stories. So this week, I was really hoping to be interviewing somebody, as I do love to share stories with other women and bring them to you via this podcast. And it seems that everybody's just enjoying their holidays, and rightly so. We're now on to the 1st of August. Can you believe it? The 1st of August is here, and we are into the swing of the summer holidays. My two daughters have today gone for a couple of nights to their dad's house, and this is my chance now to really get stuck into some work for myself. And it was the day today that I was supposed to be meeting Nicola Humber from the Unbound press for a VIP day to really map out the plan of action for writing my book. And the fact that Nicola wasn't feeling quite 100% today and wanted to reschedule for a couple of weeks' time was a really welcome opportunity for me to spend the day by myself, having had quite a busy week so far, and to do some more work on my book, but also to get my podcast ready for release day on Monday. And so, because I'm in the real kind of essence of the conception of my book, setting intentions for my book, creating a structure for my book, I thought, why not get a little bit real and raw and tell you about some of the struggles that I've been having around that, and actually, you know, some of the moments of just sheer madness where I'm like, what have I done? Why am I doing this? You know, like, I think as authors, we probably all go through that. And this is a very new identity piece for me. I wouldn't have a year ago, absolutely wouldn't have a year ago called myself an author. I wouldn't have even dreamt that that could have been a possibility for me, and that just is testament to how much my life has really evolved over the last year or so. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to go into a little bit about the why I felt called to write the book and how things are evolving within that process. It is not a linear process. It's not like I woke up one day and was like, I'm writing a book and this is what it's going to be about, although that is kind of what happened, and I'll go into a little bit about that in a moment. It's very much like I get like these bursts of inspiration, these bursts of productivity, and I started writing my story back in April, and I found it really quite easy at first to kind of spew a fair amount of my past onto the page. And I'm currently around about 10,000 words. And one of the things that Nicola's told me to do is to not be in the counting of words, which can be quite difficult. I think I'm kind of conditioned to do that from having to write a dissertation at university and all that kind of stuff. So why did I feel called to write a book at this time? Funnily enough, I've had a few conversations over the years with different very very appreciated and very respected mentors of mine. I do call them mentors because they are people that I have learnt from, and they're not necessarily people who I've asked or paid to do courses with, but that I've been in association with, I've had friendships with, I've had work relationships with, and I've just learned so much from them. And I can think of two people, and they both said to me at different times, "You should write a book." And my initial thought was, no way, I'm not that person. I don't think I'm good enough to write a book. Or maybe I just wasn't ready. But there was a little bit of both. There was a little bit of that element of not feeling good enough. And then there was a little bit of that element of what would I write a book about? Even though to them I was doing things which absolutely would have been content enough for a book. So the thing that really started this whole process, I have to come back to it again, is my association, my membership with the Singing Mamas. And the Singing Mamas was something that I was introduced to by my friend Tanith, who is friends with Kate Valentine, who is the founder of Singing Mamas. And I started following them on social media, and I was probably stalking them on social media for a good year, and just really loving everything that was going on with that organisation, that amazing community interest company. And if you don't know about them and you're interested in singing and you're a woman, go look it up, because there's so much juicy goodness from that organisation, and you can find a group to go sing with anywhere in the country pretty much. And if you want to become a singing leader, I absolutely highly recommend that training, and I've said that before and I'll say it again. So I finally, after about a year, plucked up the courage to say, like, I could do something different to what I've been doing for the past 15 or so years. I could go and train to be a singing leader. It's something that I used to love when I was a kid. It was one of my biggest joys and passions, was to sing. And I had lost touch with that over the years. And so my desire to really reconnect with my joy, reconnect with my inner child was there. It was very present, and it was at a time in my life where I was still going through a divorce, and it was taking a long time, and it was really quite a hard time to go through, of course, as it is for many people. And signing up to do the Singing Mama Leader training and going on that weekend and being in circle with so many heart-led women was monumental for me. It was a real moment for me where I was not only rediscovering my voice and my power, the power in my voice, but I was also realizing how dissatisfied I had become with my life, with my direction. I was kind of still banging on the door of projects which weren't really doing it for me anymore, and that is, I know, not living my human design. And so I now know that. I didn't necessarily know that at the time. I've learned a lot about human design during this time as well. And I'm a manifesting generator, so I should be mixing things up and trying new things and really listening to my body's wisdom and when I'm not satisfied, that's a big no-no for me. And when it's like a hell yes, that's when I should be really kind of leaning into the adventure and going with the flow of that. And so I also, at the same time, was really learning a lot more and realizing about my neurodivergence and really kind of starting to own the fact that I had ADHD. I have ADHD. And whether that's something that I've always had or whether that's something that I've developed more over time, I don't really know. But I went down a massive rabbit hole learning about neurodivergence, and it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating to do that. But it was also, I think, for a while there, kind of, I was digging myself into a hole. And it wasn't really satisfying my needs. So I switched tact and I just decided to stop doing a lot of things. I said no to the things that weren't satisfying me anymore. I said no to the things where I knew deep down that there was a bit of people pleasing going on. And I allowed myself throughout the winter this year to say yes to some pretty wild, some may call it risky, new adventures. I ploughed some money that I had into some personal development work and working with people that I found inspiring so that I could go on this like journey with myself to discover like what is the right thing for me, for me, not for what everybody else thinks I should do or what I think I should do based on what everybody else is doing, which is, I think, large part of what we all do in life. And really kind of get curious about how I can not only serve myself but also serve my community. And I realized that I have this real desire to express myself, to be creative, to sing and to paint and to write. And so in the process of doing all of those things during this time where I just stripped back all of the things that weren't really necessary anymore for me, I leaned more into trust that all will be exactly how it needs to be, and that's not always going to be good. That's sometimes going to feel pretty uncomfortable, but just knowing that I am supported in my being, in my doing, in my having, and just in my life generally, I'm supported and I'm loved, and starting to kind of really get into that deep knowing for myself. And it's hard sometimes. Sometimes I am human, and like I spoke about in my last episode, it's really easy to get kind of thrown off guard, knocked off your center. But right now I'm into the summer holidays. I've had some really great experiences already. We've got some really great things coming up for the rest of this summer, and I'm loving traveling in my caravan, and just kind of really stepping into a new version of myself, which feels aligned with my values. And I want to mention that it really was the dandelions that called me. I had this very clear message about dandelions and about how they were so important and had such a great message, an important, loving message to share with the world, and that I could be this channel to share part of that message in a different way, in a unique way, that only I, as a human manifestation, can bring to the world. And so I started writing. And like I said, I wrote quite freely and quite easily. And I was at times really feeling that I was healing through the process of writing. That things were coming up, memories were coming up of my childhood and my past relationships, where it was real realization moments of like clarity, like, oh my fucking God, that is when I started to doubt myself. That is when I started to believe that I wasn't good enough, and all of this was coming out through the process of writing. It felt so good. And I'd be sat there in just floods of tears, so overwhelmed by the emotion of it, but really loving that experience. And I was introduced to the Unbound Press and Nicola Humber by Ebonie Allard. So thank you to both those amazing women who have been part of this recent journey of mine. And there was a free masterclass that Nicola was offering around birthing your transformational book, and I signed up for that, and I watched on the replays, and it had some really great realizations about what my book was for, what the intention was, and just kind of really working through all of that. And I joined the Unbound Writers Club, which is a £7 per month subscription. It's really affordable. So anybody out there who's writing a book or just writing for writing's sake, to express themselves, the Unbound Writers Club is for women who are writing for transformation, and it provides a space and a container for us online where we can come together and support each other and write together. So yeah, can't recommend that highly enough for anybody who would love that support. And then Nicola released an offer for a publishing deal, which included the sign up to her amazing program, Birth Your Transformational Book, another program called The Abundant Author, and the Unbound Writers Club, as well as support over an 18-month period to write your book and publish your book. Now, it's a big investment for me. It's a large amount of money for me. And it was a scary thought, like, can I really do this? Like, can I spend this money on a future version of myself, an investment in myself as a person? Surely I should keep that money to replace my car, or keep that money in the bank account for a rainy day, or surely I should keep that money and it should be saving towards a house. I don't own my own house at the moment. So yes, all of these thoughts are obviously raging through my mind. But just knowing that I was being physically pulled towards Nicola and her offering, and knowing my human design was like, this is a yes for me. This is a big, fat fucking yes for me. And I know that with Nicola's support, magical things are going to happen for me, for my book, for my business. And so I just went for it. I signed up. It wasn't as easy as that, the decision. There was a lot of procrastination. But essentially, I did it. I signed up. And that is really important for me, especially as somebody who recognizes their ADHD tendencies and knows that accountability is everything. Having deadlines in place, really need them to be productive. Consistency is a massive issue for me. Procrastination is a massive issue for me. I get seriously distracted by so many things and find it really, really hard to plan and be accountable. It's only when I have people that rely on me for things, and I have that healthy for me, the just right amount of pressure to not put me under immense stress, but to get stuff done. So I then had a wobble. So I wrote lots and lots, and then I had a wobble about a month ago, and I just lost my train of thought. I lost my thread. I lost connection with my book and what its intention was. Other stuff was going on, like life was happening. And I already mentioned in the last episode about, that there was astrologically like big shifts in the cosmos, and I was feeling it personal level, I was feeling it on a collective level, and I was like riding all of this like emotional stuff, and I was starting to really seriously doubt myself, and really I was just like, oh, maybe this is the book. Maybe the book is about this. Maybe it's not about this at all. Maybe there's 2 books. Maybe there's 3 books. And I was just like, whoa, what the hell is going on? I've not written anything in about a month. And yeah, I had started to really enjoy learning about tarot, and I was on a regular basis using tarot for myself. And also I was using tarot with my friends. We were reading cards together, and also with my clients. So we were having fun that way, and I was really enjoying going on this journey through the major arcana and journaling, really sensing like my soul's voice coming up from these prompts in the tarot cards. And I shared a little bit about that on my last episode as well, so if you're interested in that, go have a listen. And I sort of did the first 3 cards and then went off the boil, like I do with a lot of things. Was not being consistent with this little project that I'd set for myself. And then on Monday, ahead of a meeting with Nicola, which I had online, I thought it was one of those moments where I'm like, bloody hell, I'm meeting Nicola tomorrow and I've got a deadline. It feels like a deadline. It wasn't a deadline because I know Nicola wouldn't have had anything to say about the fact that I've gone through a crazy emotional time and had disconnected for a month from my book and my writing process. And I decided to log on and look at some of the amazing resources that I have been given access to through my investment with her, and started to work on the intention again, and started to kind of really think about what is this book about. And I did this amazing meditation which gets you into a co-creative space with your book, and a couple of messages came through immediately, which was, this is a book about you, and there's an energy to your book. It's like it's a frequency. And that was brilliant, because up until that point I'd been trying to figure out how I was going to have other women contribute their stories to the book. And I think that was playing into this underlying fear or belief that I'm not enough. So whilst I have met and been inspired by many women throughout my life, there was this like not enoughness coming through with this idea that I had to have collaboration from other women, and that, my story wasn't enough. It had to be bigger and better and more inspiring than that. And so that was really interesting. First of all, I've constantly kind of undervalued, I think, my own knowledge and my own work. And so that was a really interesting thing that came through, and it was important. It was a really important moment where I was like, okay, that's great. I don't need to worry about that now. I can just get on with the process of creating. And then the next activity was to work on a timeline and look back throughout your life and see what significant kind of moments or memories come up to influence my writing for the book. And it was a really, really hot day. I was sat out in my garden in the sunshine, and there was just this wave of like, no, that's not for now. It's not for now. I don't want to do that right now. So I didn't. And then I thought, I know what I want to do. I want to reconnect with the tarot, and I want to go back to the next card in the series, which is the number 3 card. So the first card is the 0 card, and that's the Fool. And then the number 1 card is the Magician. The number 2 card is the High Priestess. And the number 3 card, the card of creation, is the Empress. I mean, 3 is a real symbol of creation. Anyway, in numerology, the Empress. So I connected with the card. I did some research. I then journaled on the card. And I was just blown away in that moment by how this message, this story, this voice that was coming out of me onto the page through the energy of the Empress was the essence and the energy of my book. And oh, what a relief that was. What a magical moment that was. And when I was able to share that with Nicola the next day on our Zoom call, it was just like, oh, I felt so accomplished. I felt like, everything's exactly in the right time. Everything's exactly as it should be. And isn't it just wonderful when we find ourselves in that frequency, in that energy, in that knowing? And finding that I can bring myself into that energy much more often these days is a wonderful thing. So I wanted to read you that little passage that I wrote that day and share that with you right now. So this is my little journaling on the Empress. To be or not to be, that is the question. I remember back to the heady days of my youth, when my dreams could have so easily become my reality. I believed, I trusted, I was fucking fierce. What I desired was truly my path to destiny, and by some I was desired for it, by others I was ridiculed and hated on. There can be so much power in that magnetism when you say yes to your soul's call and fully express your pure, innate talents and creativity without fear of rejection. Rejection from the ones that love, but also from the ones that don't. From others outside of yourself. As you walk your path, there are many shiny objects of distraction, some primal urges, some mere socially acceptable suggestions, that it can become so easy to stray far, far away from your higher self. Your joys, your passions, your purposes. I strayed off track and almost forgot myself. Luckily, I have been reminded of this magical spark, the flame inside me burning with desire, and I know that all our growing continues, one courageous barefoot step at a time into the unknown, undulating up and down, around and around. When we take care for ourselves and we take time to be quiet and truly listen for our soul's song, we can consciously choose a unique path of glorious creation. Be ready to let die what is no longer serving you, to then rebirth what does, with beauty, bravery, and bountiful regard for your own loves and all of life. I am the Empress of my life, and I am safe to lead from my own heart's desires. And I want that for every woman, to reconnect with our inner knowing, with our childlike joy, with our creation, our bountiful opportunity to create our life and lead with love. So I'm really excited for this adventure that I'm going on with my book, with this podcast, with my art, with my writing, with the tarot. And I'm really looking forward to creating something beautiful, something that is unique to me. And I trust that it's going to birth a new version of myself into the world. I'm going to go now. I'm going to go off and paint. Because that's another thing that I realised, that I'd been telling myself, that painting is a kind of frivolous act, in that it's not being productive, it's a waste of my time and energy, and actually it's the thing that really sustains me. And it's going to feature in my book. So I look forward to sharing more about it all with you all soon. And I wish you a really wonderful day, whatever you are doing for yourself. Please do carve out some time for yourself and your own heart's desires. Sending so much love. Until next time. When we work together in collaboration with each other, helping other women to find their voices and share their stories, it gives permission for everybody else to rise up and do the same. So until next time, sending so much love.
Dandelion, you're a joy to my eyes. Dandelion, you're a joy to my eyes. Oh, your yellow and gold flies through the breeze. Far and wide you spread your seed.
I want to give a big, heartfelt thank you to Laura Julius Cohen for donating so kindly her beautiful Dandelion song to this podcast. Laura is the lead singer-songwriter of Unbound. Go check them out. I've put links to their socials in the show notes. Laura also loves dandelions, and she loves how far their seeds can travel, just like songs and stories. Again, I'd just like to mention that I really love it when you share, rate and review on whichever podcast station you prefer to listen to. Thank you.